And welcome back to the Profile Pod. I'm your host, a double A, back for another spectacular episode of the pod, man. We got a great interview in store for you. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight, whether it's on the live or if you're watching the replay. Thank you so much for the love, the support. I want to thank everyone on Instagram, YouTube, all the love, support all the way around, man. So it's always an honor to have everyone here and everyone showing love and support, man. I can't thank you enough. So it means a lot to me. So without that, it's hard for me to continue doing what I'm doing because knowing that you're out there and supporting and loving, and that means a lot to me. So thank you guys. This is the podcast that brings on individuals doing extraordinary things in life to inspire the human spirit, man. And I aim to inspire you. I aim to motivate you through our guests, through this platform overall. Just it's the essence of this platform, man. And the guests that I bring on really embody and personify that, because I'm not just bringing anyone on. They have to be doing things outside of the box to inspire, man. Bottom line, it's that simple. And if that means it's an artist, if that means it's an entrepreneur, that means they're juggling, flames in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, then that so be it. So again, man, I just want to inspire everybody out there, and that's the bottom line, man. If you want, I want you to, if you've never always wanted to try something new, start a business, write a script, whatever the case may be, man. Whatever the case may be, use this interview tonight to inspire that. Use this interview to fuel that, to take that first step, and to really, really just step outside of your comfort zone to pursue that thing you've always wanted to pursue. Okay, again, and it doesn't matter what it is, man. So let's go ahead and get into our guest, man. And this gentleman hails out of he's originally from Pennsylvania. So he has a really cool story, man. Really unique road, the real path that he's traveled and traversed, and he's so eloquent, man. And if you're familiar with slam poetry, he's competed at a very high level nationally. Okay, and he's going to tell us all about that. He's a screenwriter and he's a producer. And he hosts LA Poetik, which is a collective of poetry every month, and he's raising funds for different charities, and just he's doing a lot of beautiful things out there, man. So again, Austin is just a man who's inspires me, and I want to thank him right now before we even bring him on, man, for being who he is. So without further ado, man, let's go ahead and bring on Austin Alexander for the first time here on the Profile Pod. Ladies and gentlemen, Austin, how are you, my man?
I'm doing great. Cheers to you with some chamomile tea.
Oh, nice, man.
I really, I really deeply appreciate being here and everything that you're doing, man. It's an honor, just to be in the presence of someone as selfless as you are, for, making this podcast be about, specifically profiling artists and those who are, inspirational. That means a lot to me and the art world in general. To have you be a facilitator of such a thing, it's a really noble act. And from what I know about you too, with your work in counseling and stuff like that, it's just a really beautiful thing that I see in your heart and in your being. So I really appreciate you as a human.
Oh man, thank you for saying that. I appreciate that, brother. That means a lot coming from you. And yeah, that's hey, that's what I'm doing, man. I love to do that and highlight others and put them on a pedestal and really showcase what they're doing, man. And and it goes both ways, brother. You coming on here, it means the world to me, and I get to connect with individuals like yourself every week, man, who are again uplifting, inspirational, motivational, and really just going after their dreams, man. And that again, that gives me a shot in the arm every week, man. And so thank you, brother. Before we move on, Austin, I want to just mention real quick to the audience, to the viewers, if you'd like to pose a question for Austin or myself, go ahead and put that in the chat, in the comment section there, and I'll do the best I can to present it to Austin, put it on the screen, and give you a shout out. So we try to make it interactive as possible. So, Austin, man, how you doing, brother? It's great for you to be here, man. I appreciate it. And how was your day today, man?
Today has been really focused actually on this interview. It really took a lot of my time out of the day to really just drop in with what it is that I would like to ultimately share with your audience and my audience. And so yeah, it's been really reflective and um, it's been healthy. I
Yeah,
worked out a bunch and yeah, it's been a really actually chill, good, beautiful day.
yeah,
Creative day too at that. So,
no
but
doubt,
yeah,
no doubt,
that,
man. I like
mhm.
your intro you did, man. That was not that the promo you did for the
Oh yeah. I unfortunately, I won't be finishing that tonight. I was like, I actually have it finished, but honestly, there's a thing that I like to kind of hone before you got to own it. You got to hone it before you own it, right? And there's a process associated with just getting it all on point. And I'm not quite ready to present that yet. But if you come out to Poetic LA on May 14th, that's going to be our next one. I'd be happy to probably share that there. And it's a pretty good one on what love is and selflessness and the difference between I think maybe an objective view on what love is really.
Absolutely, man. No, I want to get out there to Poetic LA.
Yeah, yeah.
The,
Please come. Yeah, every second Sunday we have it. It's in Silver Lake, and it's as you said, it's a charitable platform, all inclusive. And every single month we support a different charity. We try to keep it local, but sometimes like I think it was it the I'm not sure if it was the event before last or no last event we supported the American Cancer Society, and that's bigger than just Los Angeles, of course. But we've done things with LA Hospice Care and of course LA Food Bank. Um, but then other bigger things like the JED Network, when it's the JED Foundation. I have some notes here. The JED Foundation actually, and that's a suicide prevention outreach. And then the NOMI Network we just recently did, which is for human trafficking, and that was a really quite a big charity event that we did. So and this is what I like relate to you with so much. I'm saying I am just as selfish as all of us. That is the sickness of our fucking society. Absolutely bottom line. But I'm aware that there is a cure associated with basically linking reward neurologically with selfless acts, things that are difficult to do. You know what I mean? And so uh, uh, I just honor that in you, man, and it's a really beautiful thing to have that going on with my show. So please come out, or our shows. Actually, I am not a one man show there.
oh yeah, no, I got to, yeah, like I said, man, I plan on doing that, man, and I appreciate everything you're doing, man, out in the community, man, bringing artists together and like-minded individuals, man. That's an awesome cause as well, man. And
Yeah.
let's get into before. Man, there's so much to talk to you about, man. Because I was going to say, man, go ahead and recite a poem for us, man. But we'll
I
get into
can.
that. Well,
Okay.
I don't want to get
Okay.
ahead of
If
myself.
you want, we might as well like just start out like that because who the hell is this Austin Alexander guy? Okay.
Show them your
So
skills, bro. Show them your skills, bro. Straight up,
yeah,
man.
yeah. All right. Yeah, I feel you. Okay. So, but this isn't
Uh,
okay. So this piece that I'm going to share, it is not so much a matter of my skills, but just a matter of my ability to dig beneath the surface of experience, which is what poetry is, and expose vulnerability in such a way that it almost weaponizes it so that it might actually seek out and destroy the toxicity of our own hearts and the hearts of others. And, my process is one that really reflects a lot on alchemizing trauma and heartbreak. And that's generally what I use it as a therapeutic tool, which we can get into later. But uh, to preface this piece, a lot of my like fans and audience and people in general, they've heard this quite a bit lately. But there's a lot of people that haven't, and this is associated with 1 year of losing one of my best friends after another, to cancer, to drowning. Uh, just my grandmother died of old age, but she was also one of my best friends. And then most recently, another homie of mine who I've known for 15 years, actually going to Hawaii on Friday to be a part of his ceremony. So without further ado, that's what this piece is about. It's about life. It's about death. It's about the experience of all these things. And I will now give it to you.
Oh, let's hear it,
but,
man.
give,
Yeah, absolutely.
but give me a moment. In fact, actually, why don't you do this with me? Everybody who's watching in YouTube, just take a deep breath with me. So let's just take a deep breath. Hold it. And exhale. One more. What is life besides the glimpse of an instance within infinite existence? It's resistance to desist and insist upon persistence. It's consistently enriched by that which interests its insistence. It's a calculated fist of risk before the wrist of restlessness, expressed with the kiss of death, but not before the kiss of deathlessness. For within this flesh we wrestle with is a vessel we invested with. Without length or width or depth, we invite the ink of thoth and thought and think, therefore I am the setting sun in sync with the ambling moon and bedding tides. I am the gambling wind within the breast of vetting brides who do decide which seeds of men shall manifest the stars with eyes. I realize I am the waves. I am the roots. I am the light and lightless skies. I am the way. I am the truth. I am the life and I am lies. I am the grave. I am the noose, dismay, abuse, and suicides. I am the slaves. I am the Jews. I am your hate and Hitler's hiles. I've been raped and used by Satan's muse, disgraced, erased, and vile as I conflate, confuse, degrade, and lose, displaced, deface, and while I am everything you say and do. I am all that you revile. I am also all you pray unto. I am every mother's child. The tears I wept have wet the lips of every single smile. As the salt within my sweat has swept the ocean depths and at the mouth of the river Nile, I am both wreck and reconcile. For the wind within my breath has been the north, east, south, and west of this chest to me. Born just west of the Chesapeake, with each step of this quest I speak, obsessed with this test I see. My God does not play chess with me. For as Saul would agree, she lets me call him me. With absolute uncertainty. And perhaps that's the truth converting me, you see. Even Socrates would agree. The only truth we know is that we know not what we see. Therefore, we know not what we be besides this disguise of you and me, surmised by the size of our eyes by what we see in the face of a small discretion, too displaced to see God's reflection. Yet when we gaze into the space between these states of reinvention, one can almost hear the angels weep and say with sweet intention, may ye rest in peace. And may thee rise in resurrection, for this flesh be a concession made to relay an existential lesson that we pay to replay Poetik, and they invent a full confession that this mental tool, our gentle jewel, is not a fool in question. It is the captain of our universe, the axis of inception, yet just a fraction of our true nature, beyond our ashes and conception.
Wow, man. Powerful, brother. Powerful, man. Unreal, bro. Thank you, man, for that. That is and now for those of you who are not familiar with it, slam poetry, right?
I mean, it's poetry. Slam poetry is just judged
Okay.
performance poetry. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. But I wanted to
There
mention.
is kind of a cadence that people fall into because it's sort of its own genre, but technically speaking, you don't have to be da 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 ba 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 da to be a slam poet.
But
You know.
Austin, I was going to mention, man, the whole advent of quote slam poetry, right, quote unquote.
Mhm.
I want to say kind of really took off in the late '90s.
Well, it really did take off in the late '90s, actually, but it was first developed by this dude named Mark Kelly Smith, and that was in the '80s. He was a construction worker that was kind of fed up with the whole, but not fed up. He was bored. He was bored with just like the poetry readings that you would go to, and like me, which I really appreciate about him, I think he kind of wanted to give poetry some teeth, which is what I like to do. And his way of doing that was making it a competition. And I love me some fucking competition. So I kind of got into it pretty quick. But that's where it started. And then, between the 80s and 90s, I'm not super familiar with everything that went down, but because I was born, well, anyway. The point is that it really kind of took off at the New Yorker Cafe, the New Yorker Poets Cafe, which is in New York. And that was associated very much with Saul Williams, who's a great a great man in my life. I really, really respect him, and I'm honored to have him be a part of one of my projects. But he he was a part of a slam team, the New Yorkin Cafe Slam Team, and there was a documentary made in 1996 called Slam Nation, and that followed them to the individual. No, excuse me, it was the National Poetry Slam. So teams were represented in Oregon. Anyway, soon after that, in 1998, there was a movie called Slam, which came out that was starring Saul. He had a hand in writing. I think he might have also had something to do with direction, but I can't be certain about that.
Yeah.
Definitely part of the writing, for sure, obviously, because his poetry was in it. And that became a great inspiration for me, too, which we can get into. But so that's really where it sort of took off. And then from there, there was like Def Poetry Jam, which was on MTV and
Yes.
hosted by Yassine Bey, who was Most Def at the time. And, it just became its own sort of like its own genre within the cultural ethos of hip hop, and yeah. So that's kind of the basic breakdown of of how it became what it is.
Yeah, because I was in college in the late '90s, from '98 through 2002. So
Hmm.
I really got to see that really, take off. With the movie, and then there were poetry readings on campus. There were, a
Hmm.
lot that style of like you said, with the cadence, right? Of that's of
Yeah.
presenting,
Oh,
reciting that with a certain, with that bump, 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 right?
yeah,
Um,
a lot of that comes from Saul. I mean, well, I don't actually know if that's true. He might have. I mean, I've actually never asked him that, but anyway, I assume that a lot of that he does do that with the way in which he performs, uh, but in his own way, entirely. He's in his own league. But anyway, so people
Very
people
cool.
mimic. Yeah. Hmm.
No, I remember, man. So how did you like even get into all of this, man? How did that start, man? How did you start, getting into poetry and talk a little bit about that, brother?
I've been a poet since I could write. Really, I remember the first poem. Parts of the first poem was something about sailing, like starboard to port. I'm learning to sport. Anyway, but my point is that like I was into it from a very very young age, and I've always been a poet. But I'm a multi hyphenate artist. I've been a painter, a drawer. I wanted to actually be comic book artist for a while. And I excel pretty far with painting and drawing actually. But I then fell in love with glass blowing and got really good at that really quickly. A master glass blower. Been studying for 20, 23 years. Jesus, yeah, I've been I've been a glass blower for 23 years. But in the early thousands or the aughts, the proverbial glass bubble popped, and all of my income, which was quite good at the time, actually, was sort of outsourced to India and China for pennies to my dollars. So I literally went from being, whatever, an early, I guess, whatever, early 20s was what kind of when 25 was actually when that happened. And I was making $60 an hour ish is kind of what it panned out to, blowing glass, which is totally decent. You know what I mean? In fact, it's
Wow,
really good.
pretty good.
Especially as a young artist, it's awesome. So I went from making $60 an hour ish, working when I wanted to, which wasn't much to be honest, to making like the equivalent of like 10 or 15 straight up. And at that point, it was really, really pivotal and educational. And I happened to have I was actually in Seattle at the time, blowing glass in Seattle at the time. I've blown glass all around the world, but I studied in Venice, Italy. I don't know if I mentioned that, but like Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, on the back of a school bus. Anyway, uh, at that time, yeah, there's a whole thing to that. But I went to an open mic. I went to an open mic, and I had a poem that I had written, and I had actually. I saw Slam soon after it came out, and I was always enamored by it. But that was really seeing Saul do Amethyst Rocks on Slam was like I was like I think I could do that. Like that's so powerful. And anyway, so I tried my hand at it the first time at an open mic, and I made some dude, like some like, macho ass dude, like tear up. I saw it. And I was like, that is the most powerful thing that I've ever been blessed to do creatively, and so that kind of it was like the glass thing kind of got screwed, and then I
Mhm.
realized that this was something that I was really into, and I just started kind of performing, and uh, and trying to make ends meet with other stuff. I was growing mushrooms in a closet. I became a body piercer without any experience prior. That's a hilarious story if you have time to get into that one. But I started winning these poetry slams really quickly, and so it became basically I just did it as a source of money.
In
You know,
Seattle, Washington.
no, I was actually in Hawaii. I bounced all over the place, man. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so it was Hawaii then. Okay, and you started.
I started doing like performing and winning at poetry slams in Hawaii,
Got,
but the first time I did it was in Seattle.
gotcha. Okay.
hmm
All right.
hmm
So you're in
Yeah,
Hawaii and you're competing now, or you're competing, right?
I don't compete anymore, and
But
but I
back then, but we're talking
no,
about.
yeah. I was competing regularly, and I quickly found like fame out there, like I mean Hawaii famous or whatever, but like I quickly found a significant degree of respect, and which is really like what fame is, I think, good fame, proper fame, I suppose. I mean,
Mhm.
and yeah, so I found it really good. I excelled in it really fast until I reached basically the top, and then I was opening up for all these different various hip hop artists that I look up to and admire, and it was it was really cool. But at the same time, it was also okay. Well, where is this going to go? And that was around the same time that I also got sent to the individual World Poetry Slam, and competed on that level, which was a whole new thing for me. And that was that at that point, I was like, okay, well now it's time to go to LA, basically. I mean, there was a little bit more complicated than that, but that's basically what happened.
Yeah, that's the gist of it, right? Were you now?
Mhm.
Were you making a living competing as a poet and doing these
Yeah, I
competitions?
mean, well, I was renting. I had like I've had this history of acquiring uh properties that are kind of run down, or houses, or not really built out, and then I built them out, and I rent out spaces in them. So I had income coming in from that. It supplemented my income, to answer your question really
Mhm.
simply. So yeah.
Wow. Wow. So let's go back to Seattle, man. I was actually, you mentioned Seattle, man, and
Mhm.
I was actually stationed up there in
Oh,
Bremerton.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. Yeah,
Bremerton.
I had a glass shop. It wasn't my glass shop, but I was blowing glass in Ballard. And in
In
fact,
Bremerton?
actually, I think I want to say that the first open mic I did was in Ballard. I don't really actually recall,
Oh,
but I'm pretty sure that it was. I
wow.
don't. It was somewhere over that general direction.
Ballard.
And then
Okay.
I stayed with some friends up on Queen Anne.
Okay. Wow. Man, I haven't heard those names in a while, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't been back in a minute.
and so let's go back to that first time, bro. Where you recited a poem, you got on stage, and I mean, you were you nervous? What was going through your mind? And tell us a little bit about that experience.
That's a good question. I haven't really actually thought about what I was feeling at the time for a very long time. I would imagine that I was nervous, but I did a good job, obviously, so I probably wasn't that nervous. I've always been really confident. In fact, actually, this is something valuable. So, just to answer the question, yes, I was nervous. I can't really remember what was going through my mind, other than just I hope I don't fuck this up, maybe. But but this is a really valuable thing for anybody listening or watching or whatever. Was that the transition between glass and poetry um, became gave me a very valuable piece of understanding, and that is my value as an artist and your value as an artist.
Mm,
For me, I saw it as being like, well, I'm not defined by any one specific thing that I can do, because my value that I actually have to offer this world is my abstract perspective and the confidence I have to ultimately, move forward with that. Getting these notifications on my phone. Let me turn this off. There we go.
blowing
Okay.
up, bro.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, so that was something that's I think anybody should really, if they are trying to pursue something else, like know that your value as an artist is something much more than whatever it is that you may think you're really good at, because regardless of the fact that you are really good at it or not, you could possibly find your passion in something else at any moment, and it's just a matter of taking that leap of faith
Hmm.
into doing it, you know. So,
No doubt, man.
so yeah.
Yeah. So and we're talking which time frame with Seattle?
Seattle is I guess I was how old am I? I guess that was 2005,
Okay.
probably, was when the first time I did it, and then I maybe it's 2006. I'm not really. Wait, hold on. No, I was, yeah, I think it was 2005. I could be a little bit wrong about the date, but either way, yeah,
Roughly.
around that general time. And then over the next it's probably 2006, because yeah, because I think within 3 years I was at the World Slam. So yeah, let's say
That's
2006,
very cool, man. Very cool. Yeah.
probably.
Okay. Yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
man. So you competed at, what was the highest level that you competed at?
I
As a
won the individual world poetry slam. That was the highest I got. But I was kind of, and that was interesting, man. Like, it was a really humbling experience, because it's one thing when you're on an island or an island chain, and there are only so many people that are like, at that level of, um, I don't know, or I shouldn't even say that, at that level of obsession. That's really
right.
what it comes down to. That they get. That's just they hone their craft that much. But on the world stage, of course, it's like you're dealing with these just Goliaths. You know what I mean? And so that was really humbling experience. I did not win. In fact, I did actually pretty poorly, honestly. You know what? This is an interesting story. Um,
Yeah.
right before I got on the stage, this is a 3 day event. I think it was three, maybe it's five. Either way, it's three. It's several rounds. But right before I got on for the first round, I got a phone call from one of my dear friends and business partners from Hawaii, and I said, "Hey, bro, I'm about to get on stage. I can't really like deal with this right now." But he's like, "I have to tell you this." I may not have said I'm about to get on stage, but I was like, either way, he told me that he was having an affair or cheating on his wife and having an affair with my girl, and it fucking wrecked me, bro. I mean, could you imagine getting on like the most important stage of your life, at
Holy.
that point, and getting that information?
Wait,
So
wait a minute.
I mean, I don't know if I would have done much better. I mean, I know I would have done certainly better if I was not that jacked up and distracted. Because really, I mean, anybody who wants to get good at poetry or speaking in general, it's a matter of being present. It's really a matter of being present.
Austin,
You know.
so let me backtrack a little bit. You took
Yeah.
he called you, or you called him right before he went on, and
Yeah.
you took the phone call?
It wasn't like I was backstage. I was at a pizza shop, I think, grabbing a slice, and I was gonna get on like in the it was like I was just getting a bite before the performance, and it was like an hour before or something like that.
Okay. And this was in Hawaii?
No, this was in, where the hell was that? Oh, where was that? It's hosted in different places. I can't actually remember what. I can't remember where that was. Was it Indianapolis? Anyway, yeah, it wasn't in Hawaii. It was on the mainland.
So was
Mhm.
this your best friend, or like just
He
a
was
good?
a very close friend of mine. In Hawaii, on Maui, you have a tendency of becoming very, very close to everybody that you're sort of friends with, because you have only so many people that you kind of vibe with, and as a result of that, cliques get really close. So you could say he's one of my best friends for sure. Absolutely. I mean, yeah. For the record, I love this man to this day. We're better friends now than we ever have been. And he's a dear soul to me. And if he's listening
Holy.
or checking this out or whatever, I love you, bro. It's all G. And also my girl at the time, like we're now homies too. So it's yeah,
Shit,
forgiveness is good.
that's It's very interesting, man. Was she your wife or your girlfriend
No, 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 no. She was,
back
she was,
then?
she was, she was, she was a something that rhymes with wife, and that was the love of my life at the time.
Oh,
But there are some, there are more than one in my
okay.
experience.
So, wait, so when he told you that, I mean, did it throw you right away, or like, I mean,
Yeah,
obviously you have to maintain
yeah.
focus, and you got to be on
No,
point.
no, no, no. My game was gone, dude. There was no game. No, I mean, I'm a highly emotional, extremely sensitive creature. That's part of what poetry sort of like involves is actually feeling stuff in a pretty extreme level, but then becoming creative with it as opposed to just being reactive with it, um, which is a part of the therapeutic process. We can get into that, but yeah. So I was I did not have the wherewithal at the time to creatively analyze this. At the time, I was very, very reactive and extremely emotional. And I think I grabbed a bottle of Jim Beam, some shitty whiskey, and I brought that into the slam with me. And I'm like just drinking whiskey, like I don't drink at all anymore. But either way, I was drunk and like to try to get my mind off of what just happened. That was my solution.
Jeez.
But it probably came. I mean, I don't know how I sounded. Other than didn't do very great. So, I mean, there was a lot of emotion behind it, so maybe that was valuable. But
Yeah,
I mean, yeah,
that, that's harsh, man. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
yeah, it's
damn.
all good. Whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I made it. Anyway.
So, yeah. Did you? So, where did you end up placing in that particular?
Last, I specifically, I was the worst of the best. which I
Oh,
will, which I'll take. It's totally fine. It's kind of like my IQ. Actually, I have a particularly high IQ, but it's like at the bottom of the really good ones. So
oh,
it's like a pattern in my life. Hey, I'll take it.
oh. Hey, man. At least you were there, man.
That don't define me.
Was, it, was that the only time you went to the Worlds?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. After that, I was pretty emotionally fucked. And there was like about a year of just like really. I mean, I didn't really get over that for quite a long time, but I was pretty tore up after that. My whole life changed soon after that. I was what occurred? I mean, I guess I was on Maui for maybe another year, um, and performing a lot, opening a lot, rapping a lot, and opening up for a lot of the 90s, early thousands backpack rap greats like the Living Legends, the Grouch and Eli specifically were the Grouch I think was one of the first people that like really kind of uh, had me open for him a bunch. And shout out to Grouch. Check him out if you don't know him. His music's
Oh,
amazing. Eli's also amazing.
I know the
I
Grouch.
perform. Yeah, you know the Grouch.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, yeah. He's the G. Yeah.
Oh, that's
And
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then I think that Angelo Moore was the first person that got me on. That was the dude from Fishbone. But I've performed with all manner of people from Hyro and Hieroglyphics and
Yeah.
um, uh, Zion I, Zumbi, may he rest in peace. Yeah, just a lot of people from um, that realm of conscious backpack. It's backpack rap, like so. It's a boom bap that whole scene.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great, man. I love that
Mhm.
stuff, man.
Yeah,
No, very. Yeah. Yeah. So, man, that's quite the experience, man. And
and then I left,
what's that?
and
Then
then I
you,
left.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
then I
You
left.
decided to move on. Why did you decide to kind of, or did you move on to
Oh
stop
yeah,
performing?
I left Maui, believing that I was gonna maybe pursue something higher in Los Angeles. Because obviously there's more things going on here, and more opportunity. And I thought I was gonna be a rapper. Um, because that seemed to be the most obvious way to monetize what I do in a bigger way. And I came here also to kind of escape like the close quarters that I had with the close proximity rather that I had with my ex and those associated with all that drama. So
Oh,
it was just like every corner reminds you of her, and now it's just no, like yeah, I took that for about like 9 months to a year, and then I bounced.
yeah, yeah. I can't even
Yeah.
imagine that, man. I mean, running into her at the supermarket or
Oh yeah, all of that, and then it's right.
Hey, hey, Austin, I wanted to mention, man, before I forget,
Mhm.
and why you chose this alias, and what's the
Oh,
significance behind it.
that's a good question. That's a
Mountain. You
funny.
used to go by Mountain, and so tell us about that. Why did you choose that? Tell us all about it.
Oh man. Okay, so Mountain. I didn't pick Mountain. What happened was that when I was younger, I left home at a really early age, started hopping trains, hitchhiking around the country. I was like a traveling vagabond, a hippie. But I was like a stage four hippie, man. Like, and I wound up, yeah, like king of the wooks. I wound up at a rainbow gathering. The first one I went to, which is the most hippie it gets. It's actually kind of cool. There's like 30,000 hippies out in the middle of like national land, and there's no electricity, and it's all primitively built like Ewok villages and music. It's a festival that no money's allowed in. It's just trade, and it's actually cool. I wouldn't probably go again. I mean, but anyway, I was there, and I think I was 18, and I was
What's it
18.
called? I'm sorry.
The rainbow gatherings.
Rainbow Gathering, and they still go
Yeah,
on to
yeah,
this.
it's as hippie as it gets, bro. It's like the hippiest thing you could possibly ever attend. Um,
They still go on to
and
this day.
no, I haven't been to one of them
No,
in 20 years, or something like
but
that. But like, yeah,
they still
no, that
exist.
was. Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, I haven't checked in on any of that stuff in so long. I mean, no, it hasn't been quite 20 years, maybe like at least 17, since the last one I went to. But
Okay.
yeah, so that there was a lot of hippies have aliases, and um the especially in rainbow gatherings, and there was a woman, an older woman, who pulled me off the side of Main Trail, and she had some sort of interest in me. And she asked me about my life and what my dreams are, aspirations, and all that stuff. And we just had this conversation. And I'm a 18-year-old starry-eyed like kid, and she said that she's like someday you're going to be something that the world will see, and which I was like, oh, that's so cool. But she said, and you're really big too. She said, you're a mountain. You're a mountain. And and I was all stoked on the story, and I went back to this free kitchen that I was serving at and running, and told my friends about this great experience, all from my egotistical perspective, of course. But none of that was absorbed. They're like, yeah, you are fucking big. I'm 6'5", everybody. So
You're 6'5".
6'5".
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah, so I'm a pretty big dude.
you got me. I'm six
um,
two. You got me.
Okay, cool. All right, yeah, yeah, all right, there you go. Yeah. So yeah, so then it just kind of stuck, because they started calling me Mountain, and in my traveling, I was a street kid for a while, and I did a lot of I was associated with a lot of nefarious, well, not nefarious. I think there was this one group called Earth Liberation Front, which I ran with. I wasn't a part of what they were doing, but I was closely associated. They do eco terrorism, so they put straight up bombs on gondolas that are being put in for clear cutting forestry and shit like that, and
Wow.
it's some shit. But anyway, in fact, actually, the FBI once uh, suspected me and the group I was with as being responsible for that bomb on the gondola in Heavenly in Tahoe. And it was not us, but as a result of that, I got an FBI record. They were following me for a while. So that was a. So, but what's my point in saying all this said to let you know that I found that having an alias was probably a good thing for me. You know what I mean? So that I just kind of kept it, and that's how it worked.
Wow.
Mountain. And then it just became a stage name naturally.
I imagine there's not much you can say about. I mean, the FBI. The FBI. That's it. Wow. I was not expecting that, man. Not
Hey,
expecting that.
yeah, surprise!
That's hey, man. That's great. I mean, that's that's very enlightening, man. But no, hey, yeah. Again, man, I love what you do, man, and everything that
Thanks.
the way you. I mean, like I said earlier, that post you did, that promotional you did for this interview, man, was just really impressive, man. And I was like, there. I mean, when I saw that, I was like, okay, no wonder he's he competed on such a high level, and
Mhm.
um, what do you do, man? Do you rehearse? Uh, like how does it take? How long does it take to get to that level? Uh, to get a poem down like that for you, Austin. Where you're just freaking boom, 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 and you have it all down pat, and you can recite it like on the drop of a hat. How long does it take you to get to that point?
Anywhere between a week and 3 months, generally. I've been in, but there's also been pieces that I've spent a year on, and yeah, sometimes they're produced much quicker than others, but generally the process that I found to be most conducive to that is one that's associated with a creative course that I'm developing, and it's pretty developed at this point, but I'm going to start bringing it into drug treatment centers actually. So yeah.
Oh, that's powerful, man. Yeah, no, that's um, yeah. I kind of want to shift gears, man. And you're right. Right now you're also collaborating with Golden Globe winner, Oscar nominee
Oh yeah.
Pedro Osuna on an upcoming
Yeah.
album. What
Yeah.
can you
So
tell us
that's
about that?
I'd love to tell you about that. That's really cool. So that was such a beautiful thing that occurred. Like that piece that I shared, God's
Uh,
Reflection is what it's called. I circumstantially just shared that with a homie of mine, and like after I wrote it, and it was to tell you too, like that piece was written like while I was traveling from Philadelphia to Mexico, driving my friend to try to save his life with alternative treatments for his cancer. He ended up dying of that, and that's where I started. That's where I started writing that piece, and then I finished it in honor of my best friend who drowned. Then, uh, and I guess that was in August. And then I was called upon to lead his ceremony and do the eulogy and all that. So that was a part of that. At
wow.
that time, I shared it with a friend of mine, and he asked me to just do a scratch recording. He wanted to show it to somebody, and he showed it to Pedro. And Pedro, literally, he's a genius. Pedro's in you are a fucking genius, brother. And he scored it on the spot because he was so inspired by it. He literally just scored it on the spot.
Wow.
And then he invited Sophia Basilar, who's I mean, arguably she might be the best cellist in the world. She's certainly one of the best. She's like a Hans Zimmer soloist, celloist, and she's absolutely amazing. So he invited her into it to play the cello and him on the keys, and it's an amazing, an absolutely breathtaking piece. So we're the plan is to ultimately produce something of an album and a live symphonic concert featuring some of the world's best poets and soloists, musicians. So that was just a beautiful, like, sort of, this is a whole new way that I can actually present myself, and that's cool. So that's how that happened. And he just got the Golden Globe for Argentina in 1985, and I think that he's now also nominated for an Academy Award for that. But he's also the youngest Academy Award nominee for something prior to that as well. So he's just absolutely brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
awesome. How old is he?
yeah. I want to say that he's 24.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I
God
think he's
damn.
24. Yeah, I think he's 24.
Talented, man.
Yeah, yeah, he's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. So
Very cool.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, man. And um, what for you, man, what is it about art for you though, Austin? Like, that just, really, that just does it for you. It brings it, brings that spark out of you, man, that in your soul, brother. What is it about art for you, man? I mean, poetry, whatever, any type of art that you're involved with, man, that you create.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? You mentioned earlier, the emotional aspect of it, but
Mm-hmm.
what is it for you, really, that really makes you feel like you're, fucking living, man? You know what I mean?
Well, I think that we're born creative. I believe that that's our default,
Mm,
and our creativity becomes compromised by self doubt that is usually imposed upon us by someone or something. But I am electrified by it because of the fact that I think that it brings me back to, a state which is closest to my understanding of God. You know what I mean? Like that to my earliest state of being, as it were. where you are maybe, I think perhaps maybe when you are in that flow state, that's kind of what it is. You're just like, you're not really attached to the outside world anymore. You're just completely hyper focused on creating something that is greater than you, and channeling something that is greater than you. Like just opening yourself up and being that vessel, being that conduit is prophetically uplifting and transformative. So that's where I'm at with that.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I like what you said, man. I think you were innately we're
Hmm.
artists. We have
Yeah.
we're born with it, right? Because who doesn't like? I don't know what type. I don't care where you come from or who you are, what your culture is. What doesn't matter. Uh,
Yeah.
we all like some type of music.
Yeah. Sure. Sure.
We all connect
Ab-
with some type of music, right?
Absolutely. It speaks to your soul. You
Some type
know.
of rhythm, some type of beat.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
You know.
exactly. And that was some of my first like introduction into art. Really, my mom was a concert pianist, and she's just a brilliant musician, artist in general. But she had me at the keys before I could read. I was reading music before I could read words. So thanks, mom.
Wow.
She was by far the greatest uh, uh, um, just uh, supporter of my creativity as a kid. In fact, actually, I remember the first time that I the first time that I realized I was an artist. I guess I was like two. I don't know. But my mom had just gotten the walls painted of her house, and I guess as the story goes, I drew my first masterpiece on the wall, and I was really enamored with it, so much so that I went and got my mom, like, really, innocently, to like show her this beautiful work that I had just done. And that's the point, I think, where kids could potentially get these core memories that fuck them up for the rest of their life. And my mom could have scolded the shit out of me for being creative, and she could have totally, completely warped me for the rest of my life. But instead, she actually told me that it was so beautiful, and it's touching my heart just thinking about it. That she really praised me for my work, and that's actually like making me kind of like, yeah, that's yeah. So thank you, mom. And that was really, really beautiful. That's when I yeah. So that's why it's kind of like it brings me back to that stage of innocence and just raw creativity, raw being, raw being. You know,
Yeah, yeah, no
yeah,
doubt, man. Yeah, I love that. I love that. And what do you do to get into your creative space, man? I mean, you're about to write a poem. Uh,
yeah.
tell us
I'd love to
your
talk
process,
about that, man. This is
huh?
cool because yeah, thank you for asking that. This is
Of
really
course.
cool because I I've now turned it into a course that I want to help other people with. For the longest time, the process was getting fucked up as shit. I was I've definitely been a drug addict. I've definitely been an alcoholic. And I used to believe, in fact, I posted something about that today, that I used to believe that my creativity walked hand in hand with my self-destruction, and I still do. It's just that destruction is now the self who once believed that. And I think that in order for one to really kind of drop into their creativity, um, you have to get into a place of creative analysis, as opposed to critical observation. And the what I do is I mean, how can I break it down to you in the easiest way? I suppose, again, like I said, my what I usually write about is alchemizing an event, transforming something that was shit and turning it into something that is beautiful. So that's kind of like this course that I've created, and I might as well just talk about the course, because that's basically how I do it.
Yeah.
So it's a creative writing and personal empowerment course that is designed to alchemize trauma, to formulate philosophy, and ultimately to unblock creativity. And I draw from Aristotle's Poetics. So I draw from him. I implement writing techniques by him, Joseph Campbell, along with my own. These are things that I pulled from screenwriting and learn with that. Uh, and then I mix it with therapeutic forms of writing and meditation that are exclusive to my course. I can talk a little bit about it, but basically what I do is I bring myself into a parasympathetic state, and that is when your body is resting and digesting, as opposed to a sympathetic state, which is when you are fight or flight. And usually, when you're thinking about these terrible, traumatic, heartbreaking experiences, your sympathetic nervous system is engaged to a certain degree. And I think that that's a reason why a lot of us have a tendency to not really process that which we've experienced, so we remember these traumatic memories, and we become emotionally reactive, of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
And without processing them, we sort of like continue life as being victims. But if you can engage creative analysis, which you have to calm your body, and then you can be more rationally analytical, which you wouldn't necessarily expect analytics to be a big part of creativity necessarily, but it is for me, because I'm a philosopher, probably before I'm a poet.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And yeah. So I do that, and within that, I'll tell you. So this is why it's empowering. The cool thing about that is that, when we are in that state of emotional reaction, not actually looking at things, we don't really have much of a choice. I've lived as a victim for a very long time in my life. And my only escape is drugs and alcohol. But, through this practice that I've developed, I've learned how to empower myself and others with choice, because that's what power really is. I mean, most reductively speaking, I think that that's probably you could define it in a lot of different ways, but it transcends muscles and money. It's choice. And if I can give somebody an alternative perspective, well, then they have choice. And then if I can give somebody a sense of pride pertaining to something that is shameful or heartbreaking, that's alchemy, And then if I can encourage someone, including myself, to actually take that and share with others, that's fucking magic, because ultimately what you're doing there is you're not only receiving validation for what you've done, you're sharing something that was really, really tragic, but beautifully. The catharsis associated with what you actually project then heals others. And what that does is it completes sort of the circuit of healing, in a way. The student becomes the teacher. So that's kind of like, that's the nuts and bolts of what I do. And then, and generally speaking, do you have any questions? I can continue.
Yeah, I love that, man. I'm just like mesmerized right now.
Well, so I can continue for a little bit. Would you like me to continue a little bit?
Yeah, no, I was just going to ask you, real quick. How do you get to that parasympathetic state? Is that through meditation, through breathing techniques?
There's an exclusive breathwork technique that I've developed on my own, and it was that I can get into in the course. And if anybody is interested in taking this course, it's just about ready to be distributed to people, and I'm taking on students essentially. So if you are interested, please DM me at I am Austin Alexander, and follow me too. For that matter, I'll follow you back. I promise. So yeah. What was the question again? Sorry.
No, yeah, you were talking about the
parasympathetic, yeah. So that's it's through a breathing technique and meditation, and then and then what I do is I then implement some writing exercises of my own design that help me sort of create something. It was Michelangelo who said that I saw an angel within the block of marble, and I carved until I set him free. And within what I do is I basically create a block, and I got to get everything out of me. And I dig deeply beneath what it is that I'm struggling with. And I start usually with my fears and resentments associated with whatever that is, because usually that's kind of like the underpinning substructure of suffering, along with attachment, of course, to them. And then I move into gratitude and responsibility. I try to associate something that I'm grateful for within my life. Maybe it's something that I experienced as a result of this. It's not even necessarily directly connected, but it wouldn't have happened without it. And then the most important and probably the most difficult part is actually writing about where I'm responsible. And now, as a victim, it's very hard to take responsibility. And this is something that's taken me a very long time to kind of come to understand. when you are victimized by something, I'm a child of abuse. My dad was a gangster, and that spilled over a lot onto me. I was very, very unsupported, and yeah.
Mm.
Well, I'm not gonna. I love my father. He's now a very changed and beautiful man, but that did some shit to me. And so, just for example, uh, at that state of trouble of impact,
Uh-huh.
the perpetrator is 100% responsible for the victimization. 100%. But as the victim walks away from that impact,
Mm.
they become more responsible for taking on the abusive pattern that was given to them. And until you can kind of, I mean, that's a real tough pill to swallow.
Yeah.
But like, this is the reason why I became an addict, why I became an alcoholic. I mean, there's other shit too. I mean, being bullied or whatever the fuck, I mean, but the point is that like, once I can take responsibility for my own personal patterns of abuse, then guess what I can do? Responsibility predicates forgiveness. I'm then able to forgive myself. But then if I can't forgive them, I need to forgive myself first. And as a result of that, well, that's transformative, you know? So within this course, there's this block of writing that we're creating. That's a part of it. And then I move into hope and visualization, because after you kind of have sort of like an understanding of change, of real change, then it's time to pick a target, and that target is essentially a higher power. It's a higher power. It's a higher version of yourself, one that does not yet exist, but you have hope in believing it can exist, right? So I write about that with these techniques that I do, and then after that, I move into faith and action, because faith without works is dead. And this is when I actually take what it is that I've created and I refine it. I release the angel from the block, and I prepare to share it with others so that I might complete that circuit of healing and thus become the teacher with catharsis. So
That's
that's it.
powerful, man.
Yeah,
That's
thank you. Yeah, so
yeah.
that's a 4-week course. If anybody is interested in getting into that with me, I'd love to take you on as a student. But this is something that I really want to bring into drug treatment centers. And I'm getting certified right now as a that alcohol, not counselor, that's a whole other thing, but technician. In the test, they say clinician, which makes me feel really special, but it's not. It's really just like an ethics thing, so I can actually work with addicts and shit. But I'm really excited to bring it to people that I can directly impact with my own personal understanding of the process. And what's more valuable even too with this, as far as addicts are concerned, is that the primary, one of the easiest ways for one to go into relapse is contending with social anxiety. Because if you've been high for like a long time, and I mean always, if you're an addict, you're fucking high all the time, man. And everything, it's something that you hid behind, and it's something that allows you to feel confident. Just the most basic interactions become the most challenging things when you're getting clean. So if I'm able to help somebody alchemize their shit, take pride in something that was heartbreaking, tragic, loss, abuse, whatever it might be, and actually share that in such a way that they are not only validated, but they can see that catharsis that they produce in others, that power that I found when I made that dude cry in Seattle. I mean, that mitigates relapse. And that is probably the best thing that I have to offer right now. This world, that's that, I mean, along with and that all ties in everything. Like the screenplay that I've written, for example, that's the underlying premise of that is actually overcoming the addictions of human nature, and that process too. Cool thing about that process that I noticed is that it actually is the pattern of salvation. I mean, or liberation, so to speak. Like when we are in a state of when we're expressing our fears and resentments, it's kind of like it's in a way admittance of sins. It's like saying that my navigation system no longer works, and I don't know what the fuck to do, but I'm gonna like get it all out. I'm gonna dig beneath the surface of this shit, and I'm gonna, I'm just going to admit it, and like truthfully and honestly. And then of course there comes the gratitude and responsibility, and that with gratitude comes acceptance, with responsibility comes forgiveness, and then that transformation flows over into hope. Right? Again, you put hope into something that is greater than you. In this case, it's just a version of you that doesn't exist yet, and then you take that leap of faith. You take that leap of faith to the mic, and you become liberated. And that's so it's a really, really beautiful thing. Really, really beautiful thing.
So
It's all
awesome.
about faith, man. Yeah, that's what it all comes to. Answer your question in the beginning, it's all about faith. That's how it works. That's how you get to this level,
I love that, man. That's
quite
powerful.
frankly.
Like, and you're gonna be offering this course. How much is the course?
I haven't really worked that out yet. Right now, I'm gonna probably most likely do some. We'll talk to me about that if you're interested. Yeah, I haven't completely worked that out yet.
Okay.
I've actually only just recently like been able to really articulate the process, because like a lot of it was like not completely clear to me. Sometimes it's hard to to deconstruct what it is that you do, especially when like what you do kind of comes naturally. Like the objective of this course is not to make you be able to like rhyme like me or whatever. I mean, your process is your own. The way you present yourself is your own. The objectives of this course is for me to help you like basically release that angel, that's in this block of words. And but that angel really is the substructure of your philosophy, and because that is what makes poetry powerful, is really the content, what is lying beneath it, what is the belief that we are actually professing within this. And that is really what it's about, is I'm helping you define your philosophy. And of course I'm going to give you tools that I've learned from being a screenwriter, from Aristotle, from Joseph Campbell, Hero's Journey, Poetics, and my own skills as a poet. Of course that comes along with that, that's concomitant. But the most important thing here is for you to receive the creative process that I've received, and has liberated me from being dependent upon substances and whatever the fuck it is, to actually like produce something that's dope.
Wow, man. Austin, man, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate how eloquent you are and articulate, and how
I
driven you
appreciate
are.
you, bro. You're a counselor.
Yeah, yeah.
I
It's
really appreciate that about you. I'd
oh,
love to. I mean, I don't know how much we have much time, but I'd love to ask you if like just what your process is with that when you go in and engage with folks who might be going through something that's really traumatic, or what do you do?
yeah. um, it's I'm in the educational field for
Yeah.
sure. I'm working with young students, and the younger population. But I don't do I divulge too much about
Okay.
that.
Fair enough. I
Yeah,
completely understand.
but no, it's a fair question, man. I appreciate you.
It must be really difficult, especially dealing with like with youth like that. I would imagine. I mean, I guess it depends on how far you are from like your own, issues or whatever that you had as a kid. You know what I mean? Did you get into it because you had some like issues growing up and you needed counseling or whatever?
I had issues growing up, bro. I did. I had
Mhm.
my parents. My dad was a very abusive to my mom, and
Mhm.
he was. I wouldn't say he's abusive towards me or my siblings.
Mhm.
Both my parents beat the shit out of. I mean, they whooped the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Not on
Not funny. Not funny. Yeah, sorry. I'm like, I feel you. Yeah.
no. I could talk about it not freely, but yeah,
Yeah.
no, they weren't to the point where it was abuse. I wouldn't call it abuse, but we had our moments where I got the belt. I got slapped. But anyways, the point being is that
Classic.
my parents. I think my dad used. I think he had something to do with the the reduction of my level of self esteem as I got older.
Right. Right.
Self confidence,
Right.
and I had to find my way out of that. I had to build myself back up. Build my self confidence, my self esteem back up. I had to find that. And I'm glad I did. I fought. I had to address those shortcomings. But
Mhm.
anyways, but now I think once I did that, Austin, uh, I think it really set the stage for me to kind of turn around, and then help others,
Yeah.
youngsters,
Yeah. Yeah.
avoid those pitfalls of
Right.
and let them know and bring them down that path of self realization that to you are so powerful. You contain powers beyond what you know, and you have to tap into that.
Truly.
I want them to believe in themselves, believe
Yeah.
in that confidence, and build up their confidence, build them up, and to see past, uh, to really. To really believe in themselves, man. Bottom line,
Yeah.
and to
Yeah.
dream and to all that, so
Have faith
empowering them,
within. Yeah, exactly. Giving them the
empowerment,
choice. Yeah.
faith,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, man.
That's on point, bro.
yeah, and to motivate and inspire. So that's kind of why I got into it, and
Mhm.
to answer your question, man.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great thing, man. To really help others build and to spark that fire, spark that ignite them and really electrify them. I like that word you said earlier, electrify.
Yeah.
To find that, and to to ignite that, give them a little kick in the rear that they might need, and then that you kind of show them, and then they can fly. And then
Yeah.
they spread their wings and
That's so cool.
but
That,
yeah,
that's
man.
so cool. I can't wait to see that within my own, practice. Like, I'm really, really excited to get this thing going.
No doubt, man. No, I appreciate again, but it's a beautiful thing that you do, man. Before we wrap things up, though, Austin, I want
Mhm.
to let you ask you real quick, man, about Hope in LA. That you were raising funds to benefit those from affected by human trafficking,
Yep.
yeah, if you could
Hope and
just
Mike.
yeah, Hope and Mike.
Yeah.
What did I say? I'm
Yeah,
so
Hope
sorry.
and Mike, Hope and Mike. Yeah, so that was just so Poetic LA. We do an every second Sunday event, and then we do secondary events, or we've been doing secondary events. But our second Sunday events are is like the heart and soul. And Hope and Mike was just kind of like a an experimental sort of event where we were going to start incorporating musicians, and it was more of a party. It was a release for our zine, which is which features local artists. Excuse me, local artists and poets. Um, and we made one vital mistake. Forgive me, all those who were perform. We grossly overestimated the amount of performers that we could fit in, and it became just this kind of. There was such amazing, such powerful work that was presented, but like we were trying to make everybody happy, and then didn't, and as a result of that, we made some. We ignorantly were disrespectful of some people's times. That doesn't happen in other events, but that happened there. So but it was a beautiful event. It was a great success for human trafficking, or for fight human trafficking, for the Nomi Network, which is like the number one rated human trafficking charity in the world, I think, according to Charity Navigator. And then the other big one that I did actually personally, which I'm very, very proud of, was Street Art Alive. It was Slam Right at Street Art Alive, which was an international gallery showing 200 of the world's top street artists. And I invited some of LA's best poets there. And we redid we performed in this remake of a New York City subway tunnel, all tagged up with beautiful mural work from local artists, and all of the proceeds from that, every last penny of it, went to Initiate Justice, which is a great charity doing work in the field of prison reform and abolition, which is what I also want to kind of bring that course into. Like, I'm starting with addiction centers because I'll get traction there. I know them. And then I want to get into disenfranchised youth, maybe youth diversion programs. New Earth is somebody I was talking to. They're a really great charity that I'm associated with, one of the founders of, and then ultimately prisons. My dad actually, he's now a prison evangelist. He was a gangster, and now he's a prison evangelist.
Prison evangelist. Oh wow,
Yeah, yeah,
really?
yeah, yeah. Oh, dropped my toothpick.
That's pretty cool, man. That's yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's
Full
that, man.
circle.
It's all about I think that's the meaning of life. Most reductively speaking, I think, is to transform energy. Like, if we're really going to look at it, that's what it is. And what's energy? It's the potential for causality. Okay, so we can do that one of two different ways. It's either creatively or destructively, and that's either positively or negatively. And I see the universe for what it is, evolving into a selfless state of awareness, because the highest forms of life that we are aware of exhibit love, and that's what selfless awareness is. So I think that the furthest we can get ahead of that curve, that evolutionary sort of move observation of consciousness moving into selfless awareness. I think that that's what really brings that magic into our life. And I think that, you know, with the screenplay that I've done with that I've been working on with Saul Williams and Gary Goldman was actually like he got me onto that originally, but you know, within that, that's the underlying premise. But like, here I am writing about it, and you know, I kind of realize now that I'm sort of putting the cart before the horse, and now it's like, oh, I need to start living this on a grander level, and that's why I really wanted to incorporate charity with Poetic LA and did, and continue to do so, and yeah, that's everything comes back to being of service, whether you like it or not.
Yeah,
In my world, if I, yeah, you know.
definitely,
Not
man.
that I'm Mr. Goody Goody because I fuck up all the time, but like, but you know, I know better at least, you know.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Hey, man, we're all. I think we're, you know,
Hmm.
we're only human, man. We're nobody's perfect,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But Austin, man, I want to thank you, man. You really provided a lot of gems tonight, and a lot of insight, so much information and enlightenment, and I want to, you know, wish you nothing but the utmost success. And with, you know, with
Really,
everything you got going on, man, your screenplay,
thank you.
your 501c3,
Mhm.
you know, Poetic LA. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna get out there, man, and
Yeah, come on. May 14th. It's gonna be. I think it's gonna support single mothers for Mother's Day, and I think the theme is gonna be maybe I was thinking Mother Madre full of grace to pay some homage to Cinco de Mayo. Last year we did Cinco de Madre, you know,
oh
but
yeah,
we had a Latino brother that was a part of the group at that time. It made more sense. I have a little bit of Spanish heritage, but I don't qualify in any way, shape, or form to represent that shit. So you know, but we got to pay homage to the piece because we have a lot of really great Latin support and just some amazing fucking poets from that community. So
I can't wait. I
yeah,
can't wait, man.
yeah.
We're
Continue.
go ahead.
But I was just wanted to say, continue walking in faith, man. You know, like continue doing that and bringing it to people because it's like, I like it's hope and fear are the things that I think we ultimately that we all vacillate in, and I'll end with this really quickly. It's really cool. I was having a conversation with Saul Williams actually about hope, and he said that hope is as hollow as fear, and that fucked me up. Now I thought it was actually quoted by him, but it was actually Lao Tzu who said it, and I thought I'd shoot on that for years, man, and I realized that like yeah, hope is as hollow as fear, but it's also as whole, and just enough hope and just enough fear compel us, and the actions we take between those two polarities, that is faith, you
Wow.
know, and the more we can live within that, you know,
Yeah,
space, I think the closer we get to being accepting of ourselves and whole in every way.
I love it,
We can
man.
get back. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's great, man. And Austin, where can the good people find you? Where can they connect with you? You know,
Well,
websites,
yeah.
social media.
Please follow me at I am Austin Alexander. Austin like the city, Alexander like the great. And but whatever, you know. And please follow us at Poetic LA with a K. That's yeah. That's the best way to link up with me. My website is austinalexander.com, but it's like terribly needing to be under construction. That shit looks like it's from like 1996. It's got like my Instagram actually shows more of what I do than anything right now. But you know, hey, we're all works in progress, my brother.
Hey, that might be something else for you, man. Web design. I don't know, man.
I mean, I'm good with graphic design. I do all our flyers for Poetic LA. I don't know.
Oh, there you go. Jeez, man. What don't you do, brother? What don't you do?
I mean, what can't you do?
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know, you
Yeah,
can do it. You can do anything, bro. You know, and then it's
absolutely.
how, yeah, yeah. You know, just
Love
keep
that, man.
growing.
Hey,
Yeah,
brother. You know, you're a great soul, man. I really enjoyed this conversation, Austin. And
yeah.
again,
Me too. This has been really, really great. Thank you so much. I bet this is I actually was like much more rewarding than I even like. I knew it was going to be great and rewarding, but I'm feeling really uplifted right now and really at peace and I'm really grateful. And tomorrow I got to go to court to testify for my homie, so that's a good place to. It's a long story. Yeah.
oh man,
I got some stories, man. I got some stories. Anyway, yeah, it was
yeah. Hey, man,
yeah.
maybe one day we'll do this in person. You know, because I'm trying to get my home set up finalized, and so
Oh, cool.
yeah, we'll be back. Well, this
Cool.
is the first of many, hopefully,
Cool.
collaborations, man. And
Cool. Yeah, please. Yeah, and then and also too, I'm starting a podcast called Illiterate, and
okay,
I don't know when that's going to launch, but I got my studio set up, and yeah, so that'll probably be in the next couple months, maybe. I don't know. So you stay tuned for that. And again, if you're interested in the workshop, please DM me. I'd love to help you. You know, and I think that's
there it
it.
is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's Austin Alexander,
Yeah. Love you guys. Bless.
poetic,
Peace.
the man, the myth, the legend, man. Go connect with Austin. Go check out his page on Instagram. He's got some really, really cool, inspirational videos, posts, and just a lot of cool poetry and good art. If you're into artists,
Philosophy,
philosophy,
perspectives. Yeah.
really, really thought provoking and really, really just impressive stuff that he does,
Thanks,
man.
bro.
Creates. He's just an artist through and through. So,
And the
Austin, once
same for Double A, everybody. From my side of those who are watching, just follow this man, follow the profile pod, and give him all the support that he deserves. He's obviously a really beautiful soul, and he deserves it.
thank you very much, brother. I appreciate you,
Yeah,
man.
man. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Once again,
All
ladies
right.
and gentlemen, this is Austin Alexander right here on the Profile Pod. Go connect, go check him out, go follow him, and you will not be disappointed. Go check out Poetik LA. I mean, there's so much he's got going on. So, once again, it was an honor having him here. I want to thank everybody again for tuning in, whether it's here on the live, the or on the replay. Much appreciation for that. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button there at the bottom right hand corner of the screen. It's one way you can show love, one way you can show support. If you like what I do, if you like our guests that we bring on, hit that subscribe button. So that's one way again to show the appreciation. So one great way to support. Connect with me on Instagram. Tell me what you think of the interview. And it's all about connecting, man. I love building community. I love building unity and inspiring others right here on the Profile Pod. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you. For Austin, thank you once again, brother. I'll see you soon.
Yes. Peace be with y'all.
Absolutely, man.
Stay
Absolutely.
poetic, LA. Stay
Yeah.
poetic, LA.
That's right, baby. That's right, man. We'll see you guys next time. We're here on the Profile Pod with Double A. I'm your host, always
Yeah.
reminding you to take it easy.
Yeah.
See you guys. Thanks again, Austin.
Bless, brother.